what I've got is just a brief presentation, which I'm going to go through, which will take about half an hour, 40 minutes at the very, very most. It is very, very top line and very basic. It has to be because I wrote it. So, and it's just my understanding of what we do. So, what we'll do, if you don't mind, is if you've got any questions, keep hold of them. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll have some question sessions because I've got a feeling that a lot of the questions that you may have, we're going to cover as we go through, and it'll just save us jumping around everywhere. So I'll go through the presentation and we'll answer some questions and what have you. There's a few of us here. Steve's here, obviously Trefflin's here, Harvey's here. So we've all either lost loads of weight or are still going through losing weight. So there's loads of us here to answer questions for you as well. So also the blue screen with how I lost 9 stone in 12 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. That's the first bit done. We've got that sorted. Right, so we'll flip through then. We'll go through, hang on to your questions and everything, and then we'll go through them at the end. So from the very first start, what I want to mention to you is the fact that whatever we talk about during the presentation and in questions after is that we're not giving you any medical advice whatsoever. None of us are trained medically, but it's all experience-based information we're giving you. It's stuff that we have all done and stuff that we're eating and what we do, and it's working for us. But it's not medical advice. So we have to make that very clear to you as well. Okay. So, but it is experience led. So the reason why we're all here, or certainly the reason why I'm here, is because I stumbled on this guy who, like most of us, had put on a fair amount of weight and then decided to do something about it. And then went from that to this. Just wait for my side. So to that, so the difference is absolutely fantastic. And not only that, it was during the journey as well, where you're going to pick up certain tips as well. And I've put this on as well, because this is something we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the presentation, is that when Trefflin got this yellow jacket, that at one stage, as he was losing weight, didn't fit. And then not so long after, it was actually too big because she lost that much weight. And we're going to come on to that a little bit later and talk about that as well, about some measures that we need to make as well. And the reason why I'm here and the reason why I do this is firstly because I wrote the presentation for Trefflin, because Trefflin's got 1,000,001 things to do, as I'm sure you're all aware. So I said I'd do this to help out. So just on my experience and what gives me the right to sit here today to talk to you is back in November of last year, I was 311 pounds or 22.2 stone, 141 kilos. I sat in the other room, just at the other side, thinking I'm going to start a diet on Monday, another thing we're going to come on to later. And I did keto previously, and keto worked, but not that fantastic. I was losing weight, but it was very hit and miss. I don't know why now. So I scoured the internet, went onto YouTube, and I saw Trefflin's video. And just the same as everyone else saw those videos, and I just thought, my God, this man's done really, really well. I'm going to do exactly the same as what he's done, and I have done. So as I sit here today, the 9th of April, I've been doing it for 24 weeks. I've lost 91 pounds. So I've lost 6 stone, 7 pounds, or nearly 41 kilo. And none of it has been hard. It has been the simplest things I've ever done. It's not difficult. It's very, very simple. And all we're going to do today is just show you what I've done, what Trefflin's done, what Steve's done, what Harvey's done, and what many, many other people in the Localofa site have done. And where do I finish? Well, I said I was going to finish when I get to 100 pounds, but I'm not going to know what to do with my life once I get to another 9 pounds. So what am I going to do then? So I'm probably going to carry on, to be quite honest, because according to the NHS site, I'm actually still morbidly obese, would you believe? So there we are. But so yeah, that's where I am at the moment. So if we can do it, there's no reason why you can't do it. There is nothing unique about us. There is nothing special about us. We're exactly the same as what you are. But there are a few things that you need to do. You need to stop wishing we could do it and start doing it. I remember sitting in the other lounge watching on YouTube Trefflin's video and seeing how he was the size I used to be to how he is now, thinking, I wish I could do that. Well, I have done. And now 6 months on, I have got there, and so can you. If you want to do it and you're really committed to do it, you will do it. not just after this call when you might feel a little bit euphoric about it and think, oh, this is really great, this is brilliant. But like next Wednesday, next Thursday, those low times when you're missing a few bits and bobs, but you've got to stick to it because the long-term vision is the fact that you will lose weight from it. Treat everything as a pound at a time. We have a call on a Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, which Treflin will talk about, and we'll talk about after as well, where we get some people that will come on the call and they'll say, oh, I've not had a really good week this week. I've only lost £2 this week. And you think, well, it's £2 less now than what you had last week. And then if we add that £2 onto the £14 that you'd lost previously, it all mounts up. So you have to take all the small victories and all the wins all along. Again, something we're going to talk about a little bit further. And you've just got to think that if you start right now after this call, in 3 months' time, you're going to thank yourself, because in just 12 weeks' time, your friends and your family are going to start to really notice a difference in how you look. I'm going to see a friend tomorrow, and I've not seen him, a very good friend, but I've not seen him since lockdown. So I think the last time I saw him was about December, and I was a big bloke when he saw me last time. So I might have to wear a name badge tomorrow so he can. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, so he can see that when he's been saying, "Oh, come round for a beer," and come round, and I've said, "No, I won't. I'm all right." He can see why I've resisted all that. But you can do the same. 3 months from today, you'll look massively different. So it really is worth it. So historically, what we've had is the Eat Well guide, and this is what the NHS still talk about now, and it tells us there where we should eat foods from all the different food groups. And we can have crisps and cakes and chocolate less often and in small amounts. We can have all those, but we can eat loads and loads of carbohydrates here, and these aren't going to do us any harm whatsoever. However, that's not strictly true, because they do us a lot of harm. And it's this area here that this is where we really start to not eat carbohydrates, which is essentially what we're talking about today. So this is what many doctors will still talk about at the moment, and it's not necessarily good for us. There's 3 main macronutrients when what we eat is protein, which you get from your meats, your fish, and your eggs. There's fats that you get also from some of the meats, but also butter, oils, avocado, cheese, cream, etc. And then there's carbohydrates, which you actually get from some vegetables and fruits as well. So carbohydrates are everywhere. But the worst carbohydrates are the ones which are the most popular, sadly, the burgers, the chips, the donuts, the cakes, the chocolate. They're not great carbohydrates. They do us no favors whatsoever. Just a little update on your body, or just some information on your body, is that, and this is the way I understand it, or the very simple way that I understand it, is that your body is a dual fuel system. For your energy, it will get the energy from either glucose, which comes from the carbohydrates you eat, or it will come from ketones, which your body will produce naturally. Your body naturally will go to glucose every single time. It's its primary choice. It's its primary choice. So all the carbohydrates we eat, our body will turn those into all the carbohydrates into glucose, and our body will use that glucose to keep us going, to keep us running. So how carbohydrates work in our body, very basically. We consume carbohydrates, so we get a bag of chips or a burger or a cake or whatever it might be. So we consume that because it tastes nice. And our body will turn those carbohydrates into glucose in your liver, and then the glucose will enter your bloodstream. Your body then switches straight away, because it detects the glucose, and will switch straight away its energy source to use that glucose. Your body senses the increased glucose levels in your bloodstream as it's going round, and then it produces insulin. And the insulin is produced, so it regulates the glucose that's going around your bloodstream. What it then does is all that glucose will then fill your energy cells in your body. So if we keep on eating all the time and keep on putting in more and more carbohydrates, once those energy cells are full from what you've eaten previously, it won't accept any more. So the insulin will then move that glucose somewhere else. And surprise, surprise, it stores it on your body. So if you see that you're overweight now, that's because of all the carbohydrates that you've been eating, that your energy stores are already full. And then what you're doing is your body and the insulin is then storing all that glucose out of your bloodstreams as fat on your body. Then if you eat again, exactly the same thing. So it's layer up and layer up and layer. That's why we get so big. But if our blood sugar levels drop, that creates a hormone called ghrelin, a hunger hormone. And ghrelin makes us feel hungry. So then we eat carbohydrates and we go around the circle again. And that's why we're getting big, because we keep on going around the circle. And a perfect example of that is a Chinese meal, because I don't know if you're the same as me, but every time I've had Chinese meals, I've really enjoyed it while I've eaten it. But about an hour and a half later, I could eat it again because I'm hungry, because the vast majority of the Chinese food that they have is full of carbohydrate. So you're great at the moment when your blood sugar shoots up, the insulin kicks in, it moves all the glucose around, but then you're hungry again. And what we've been doing is continually piling carbohydrate. That's very basically how it works in your body. So what we need to do is break that cycle of carbohydrate. So our body's primary choice is to go for glucose, but we need to stop that. We need it to use ketones. Ketones is our preferred choice, not our body, it's ours. And our body produces ketones from our stored fat, which is what we want to do. So reducing carbs works in our body this way. So see your body as the fat fridge. So we've got a big storage area at the bottom, and then we've got a little fridge at the top. At the top is the glucose energy. So in the fridge, it's the glucose which is stored in the liver, and it's to be used for energy to regulate. So that's fine. So if we eat carbs, we have a certain amount. So your body will need a certain amount of carbohydrates every day, but your body will produce that itself. You don't need to eat carbohydrates for that. Your body will produce it. And in the freezer part is the long-term store. That's where we're storing all body fat. So what we need to do is we need to reduce what we put in the top of the fridge and start using what's in the bottom of the fridge. In other words, we need to start burning our stored fat and losing weight, which is what we're holding today. So we all know about the keto diet. And the keto diet will tell you on the various apps and the various websites that 5% of your food intake or calories or whatever it is comes from carbohydrates, 20% of it comes from protein, and 75% of it comes from fats. This is how I started ages ago. And like I said earlier, I lost a little bit of weight, not as much as I'm losing at the moment. And it was quite frustrating. So we all know about the keto diet, but we don't do the keto diet in that form. The keto diet historically was never made as a weight loss program. The ketogenic diet has been around since the 1920s, and it was developed to help people with epilepsy. And there are reams of information on YouTube about people who have had epilepsy moving onto a keto diet, and their symptoms of epilepsy have reduced. So it really does work for them. But back in the 1920s, there wasn't too many fat people walking around. So what they needed to do was consume lots of fat to get their body into ketosis to help the epilepsy. Well, we don't need to do that, because by definition, you're here today and you're here tonight and you're on the group because you're carrying weight anyway. So why would you want to add more fat when you've got fat to burn? And that's the lesson I learned when I watched Strefflin's video back in November of last year. So if you're carrying all this fat and we're walking around with this fat all day, but the keto diet tells you to get 70% of your 75% of your fat from food, from fats, just doesn't make sense. Really doesn't make sense at all. And what was happening for me when I was doing the keto diet is I was carrying fat because I was overweight. I was consuming the fats that the apps told me to do and the keto diet told me to do. And I was losing some weight, so I was producing ketones. But what was also happening is I was actually burning or making ketones out of the fat I was consuming. Well, I didn't want that. I wanted 100% of it to be coming from what I was carrying. So basically, why eat more fat when we're carrying? So instead of the 70%, instead of the 70% here that you should be eating, let's start burning the 70% that we're carrying on our body. And I'll put it to you this way. If you were going out tonight and you need to just pop round to the shops to pick up something from the local store, and you get into your car and you've got 3/4 of a tank of petrol already in your car, you wouldn't then go to the petrol station to top that up because you've already got enough. So why would you then put more fat into your body when you've already got enough? So that's a very simple way of looking at it for me. So we're about the low carbohydrate, low fat diet, the Localofa, as we've now called it, or Treflin has now called it. So that's what we're about: low carbohydrates and low fat. And it's very simple, really, really simple. 3 big rocks to lose weight. That's all there is. Number one, reduce your carbohydrate consumption and cut out sugar. We talk about a maximum of 20 grams of carbohydrates a day, but it's a bit like saying the speed limit on the motorway is 70 miles an hour. It doesn't mean you have to go 70 miles an hour. It means don't go above it. If you only have 4 or 5 carbohydrates a day, grams of carbohydrate a day, even better. Keep them really, really low as you can. Number 2, don't overload on excessive fats. When we say excessive fats, and this is the difference here, you will need some fat in your body. Your body will need some fats, but you can get those fats from any meat that you eat and any cooking materials, any cooking products that you have. If you're cooking butter or ghee, coconut oil, things like that, that's where you get your fats from. What we say, in difference to what the keto diet is, no cheese, no cream, no avocado. Everyone's piling the real sort of boom in avocado at the moment is because everyone's piling it down them because of the keto diet. It's excessive fat. They're really high in fat, but we don't need, it's burning our own fat that we need to do. So excessive fats, cheese, cream, avocados, yogurts, those sorts of things. But if you're eating meat in fats in meat and cooking in fat, that's perfectly fine because you will need some. And the third one is probably the hardest of the 3, to be quite honest, is to stay determined and focused. I'm really lucky that I'm blessed with strong willpower. And once I decide I'm going to do something, I do it. Now, making me decide I'm going to do it is the hard part. So flicking that switch is the difficult bit. But once I've decided I'll do it, there is no way I will switch away from this anymore. Not a chance. But stay determined and focused. After this call, next week, week after, month after, stay focused. Keep doing it. You will see massive benefits from it. Because if you're serious about changing your life, you'll find a way. But if you're not, you'll find an excuse. And it's very true. So let's go back to the fat fridge and look at ways of how we can burn our body fat and the best ways that we can do it. So here's the fat fridge again. So the very easy way that we can lose a lot of weight is to eat nothing at all. Absolutely eat nothing at all. You'll strip loads of stored fat because you were then forcing your body to switch its energy to your stored fat because that's all you're giving it. The only problem with that is the fact that you might get hungry. We're going to come on to fasting and 1 meal a day and stuff like that later. But bear in mind, it won't hurt you if you stopped eating for a little while. And I'm going to come on again. There's loads I'm going to come on to, so that's why I'm just reminding me. The second thing you could do is just eat meat. And many people do, just have a carnivore diet because there are no carbohydrates in meat. So if you just had a chicken, that's fine. It's going to fill you up. You're going to feel full. There's no carbohydrates, and you then are forcing your body to use its own fat to burn, and therefore you're getting rid of that stored fat in the freezer. So if you just eat meat, the other thing you can do is you can add in some salad and vegetables and stuff which will have carbohydrates, so you have to take that into account. But it makes your food a lot more tasty, and it also gives you loads of options as well. But you have to be wary that salads and vegetables and those sort of things do have carbohydrates, and that's where you have to keep it under that 20 grams. So there's 3 different ways there that you can eat. And there's a hell of a lot of fantastic food that you can eat as well. All the fish and meat that you can think of, vegetables as well. So some great vegetables. Real big rule of thumb: if it's a vegetable that's grown underground, it'll be high in carbohydrates. So bear that in mind. So any root vegetables, probably avoid those. Carrots, sweet potato, parsnips, those sort of things are very high. Anything leafy greens and stuff like that, absolutely fine. So, you can really fill your plate with them. But it's easy to make, which is what I do, my own stir fries, curry sauces. You can even have your roast dinner on a Sunday with selected vegetables as well. So it's not really restrictive. And once you get into it, there's a load of things that you can eat. But the other real place, which I'll show you where to find it, is on the Localofa Facebook group, because loads of people post their meals, including myself. Put pictures on there with recipes of what you can eat, and there's a specific site within the Facebook group site where I'll show you where it is. And there's reams and reams and reams of pictures of people's food. So don't ever think it's quite restrictive. There's not a lot to eat here. There's absolutely loads of things that you can eat. But I'll show you where that is in a second. Some top tips on how to lose weight to motivate you. I'm now, so last week, the big thing for me last week is I actually collected a pair of 34-inch jeans, which is the first time I've been in 34-inch jeans for over 30 years. When I started this in November, I was in size 46-inch jeans. I've thrown all of my jeans out apart from the pair of 46-inch jeans, which are still upstairs in my wardrobe, and I won't be throwing those away because that's going to be a reminder of what I was. And also I'm going to have a picture like Trefflin's got here of Trefflin with his big jeans, and I'm going to have the same picture when I get to where I want to be. And it's great, it's motivating for me because I put my size 34 jeans on the bed, and then I put my 46 jeans over the top, and you can't see the 34-inch jeans because they're absolutely swamped. And it just shows me. And then if I change it round by putting my 34s on top of the 46s, it shows just how much you've weighed. It's hugely motivating. So before you start, just keep a couple of your items of clothing as well, just to go. And if you've got an item of clothing that's just a little bit tight and you can't wear it, just try it on before you start, just to see how tight it is. And then 2 to 3 weeks later, try it again. If you've been true to it and you stick to it, you'll notice that you can probably get into it, or it fits that little bit better. That motivates you more than anything. Keep a journal. Keep a journal of what you eat, of your weight. I'm going to come on to weight just after this. I didn't do this when I first started. Watched Trefflin's video and I thought, I'm probably not going to do that. But he was absolutely right, because I have kept a diary now for probably the last 22, 23 weeks. And every day I put it on the notes on my iPhone. Every day I log what my weight is, and I log absolutely everything that I eat. And there's a couple of reasons why I do this, and a couple of reasons why we do this is, firstly, if you weigh yourself only once a week and you're eating certain things throughout the week and you've not lost any weight, you've then got to think back to what I've eaten over the last 7 days. Now, half the time, I can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone what I had 7 days ago. But at least then I can look back in my food journal and say, oh, I wonder if that didn't work. I wonder if that was the thing that stopped me. Secondly, what I've got now is, if I'm going to have something to eat tomorrow and I can't decide what to have, or I'm lacking a bit of thought, I've now got 22 weeks worth of food that I've eaten logged down on my notes on my iPhone of all the things that I've eaten in the last 22 weeks, which had a fantastic effect on my weight loss. So I can eat any of that again. And then another thing as well is that if you log your food and you write down everything which you eat, and then you come to one of us and say, I'm doing everything what you say, guys, and I'm not losing weight. If you can share that journal with us, we can have a look at it and we say, you need to cut this out. You need to cut that. If you haven't written it down anywhere, we don't know what you're eating. And it's a way that we can help you as well. It really is motivating just to write it down and see what you're doing. Weight and how you weigh yourself. This is really up to you what you do. I'm going to tell you what I do, and I think Trefflin does the same as well. I started my weight loss on a Thursday. So I will only log my weight loss of a Thursday, but I'll weigh myself every single morning. But if someone says to me, how much weight have you lost? I'll only tell them what I told them yesterday on the Thursday. Yes, yesterday on the Thursday. But I will go on the scales every morning. I can tell you I virtually leap out of bed every morning at the moment to go and have a whittle, because obviously that's what we all do. And then as soon as I've done that, jump on the scales to see if I've dropped even more. And 9 times out of 10 I have, and it's fantastic. And then I'll just make a little note of what the weight, and that is motivating as well, just to put what your weight is each and every day. So when people come in and say, I've only lost £2, yeah, but it was £3 last week and stuff, and that's how you find it out. And it really is motivating. So I only ever tell people I weighed on a Thursday, but I do weigh myself every single morning. It is critical that you weigh yourself at exactly the same time every day, because your weight will fluctuate throughout the day depending on what you eat, drink, and what you're doing. So weigh yourself. I generally do it first thing in the morning, so recommend you do exactly the same. And the other thing as well is just stick the tape measure around your waist and just weigh yourself around by where your belly button is. Just take a note, because sometimes you may not lose any weight, but your body shape will have changed as well, and you'll probably see that you've lost a couple of inches on your weight and that on your waist, and that is really motivating. I didn't do this, but my measure is the jeans from 46 inch down to 34 inch. There's my measure. Really recommend you doing it. We talk about this book as well, which is virtually like a Bible, and you can get this on Amazon. It's called the Carb and Calorie Counter, and those of you who don't have it, I highly recommend you get it, because I still use it on a weekly basis. It's very pictorial, and it tells you exactly what you need to do. Forget the calorie part. We don't do calories. We do the carbohydrates. So if we look on the picture here, it'll tell you here, it's quite a bad example actually, because we wouldn't eat potatoes anyway, but it'll show you, if you just think, well, I'm just going to have a few potatoes with my meal, it won't hurt. Well, if you had 65 grams, firstly, do you know what 65 grams of potatoes is? Probably not. You can guess at it. Well, it shows you here pictorially that that's what 65 grams of new potatoes looks like on a plate. It even tells you what the size of the dinner plate is if you really wanted to get into it. But that's 10 grams of carbohydrates. And it'll just show you, and it's quite a thick book, and it'll tell you absolutely everything of loads of foods and the carbohydrate content. These are the only information that I'm interested in. I'm not bothered in all of this here, or the the protein, the fats, the saturated fats. Not interested. All I'm interested in is the carb count. But what it'll do is it tells you stuff that you can't eat or shouldn't eat. But there's a hell of a lot of stuff in there as well that you think, well, actually, I can have that. There's low carb, and I didn't realize it was. So really recommend you get it. It's $15.99 and it's on Amazon. But it's a great book just to flick through to give you ideas of just some of the things that you can eat. I just want to quickly talk to you about food labels. We didn't check before. It's critical that you because you have to be careful, because carbohydrates can sneak in when you least expect them to. I didn't check before the call to see if we got anyone from abroad, anyone outside of the UK, but because we do have quite a few from the States and the Americas. So Innocent, just in case, Innocent is a brand in the UK which is synonymous with being healthy. They make smoothies. They are really lovely, to be quite honest, and they are synonymous with being a healthy brand. And this one in particular, this smoothie label, which I've taken here, is from the cranberry and raspberry smoothie, which they put together. And as people who have done keto will know that, I'm not too sure about cranberries, but certainly raspberries, they were saying, yeah, eat that with loads of cream, which we don't. But you kind of think, a smoothie from a company which is healthy with berries, this is going to be good for me. Let me show you this label and how to read a label. And my apologies if I'm teaching you to suck eggs. So firstly, on the nutrition, on the whole of the bottle, there's 250 milliliters of product in the bottle. But the label tells us that the nutritional information is only for 100 grams of it, 100 milliliters of it, I should say. So whatever it is, you've got to double it and then a little bit more on top. So on the carbohydrates, this tells us that there's 13.1 grams of carbohydrates per 100 mil in a 250 ml bottle. So this healthy berry-filled smoothie from Innocent, the well-known healthy brand, has 32.5 grams of carbohydrate in just 250 mils. Your body, as a rule of thumb, will convert every 4 grams of carbohydrate that you eat, it will convert it to glucose to the amount of 1 tablespoon of sugar. So for every 4 grams of carbohydrate, you can equate that to 1 teaspoon of sugar. So in this 32.5 gram bottle, there are 8 teaspoons of sugar. Would you go to the sugar jar and eat 8 teaspoons of sugar? I'm hoping you probably wouldn't. I might have done many, many years ago, but I certainly wouldn't. But it just goes to show you how you could drink this and it'll stop you losing weight because it's overload on carbohydrate. So just be wary on labels and just double check before you eat them. There we have with a 1 teaspoon, 5 grams, 5 grams. That's what we kind of equate it to. Other things on food labelling is the traffic light system in the UK. We don't bother with it. Certainly don't bother with so don't bother with the traffic lights. Just go on your carbohydrates and calorie counting. We don't go on calorie counting. I was talking to someone this week who told me that they're not going to do what I do, despite the fact that they said you look absolutely fantastic and it's working for you. I'm not going to do what you're going to do. I'm just restricting myself to 2,000 calories, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, you can eat 8 Mars bars and still be under 2,000 calories. So fine, there's your way of losing weight. The only problem is you're not going to lose weight by eating 8 Mars bars. So therefore, calorie controlled diet is just a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. Strip those carbohydrates down and stop eating dietary fat, you'll lose weight without doubt. So we don't do calorie counting at all. So just stick on those. I just want to quickly now talk to you about sugar. And this is personal to me because I, like many people, love sugar. I love chocolate. I love sweet cakes, everything. Absolutely love it. And I had this monster that was on my shoulder, and he's still there right today, the sugar monster. And we've all got the sugar monster, and I refer to him all the time. So sugar, we need to cut sugar out totally, and any sweeteners as well. Really cut out sweeteners if you can, because essentially sugar to our body works exactly the way as a drug does. Your body wants sugar because you're addicted to it. I was giving my body sugar for 53 years and it loved it, absolutely loved it. But sugar has 0 nutritional value, absolutely no value to it whatsoever. And it massively inhibits your weight loss. If anything, it'll pile your weight on. It's probably the one reason why you're putting weight on is because of the sugar overload. So cut sugar out completely. And it's difficult. It's difficult to lose sugar because you've given it for 53 years. And if you cut it out, those of you just started, your body won't like it. You'll get a headache. And that headache to me is the sugar monster on my shoulder banging me on the head to say, can we have some of that sweet stuff you've been sending us? We haven't got any. And it keeps on banging away because it wants it. But you know what? Eventually it'll go and it stops banging away. Unless you give it something sweet, or you give it a sweetener or a little bit of sugar or anything like that. And then he's happy, he's had some sugar and he'll go away. But then 4 or 5 hours later, he's starting banging on your head again because he wants some more and you'll never get rid of it. I have not got rid of the sugar monster. I'm not saying I have. I've not had sugar or anything like that since I started. But I could easily down a cake and the donut and everything straight away. Of course I could. So he's always there, but I choose now to ignore it. But he doesn't bang on my head every 4 or 5 hours anymore. He might every now and then give me a little nudge and say, how about that chocolate bar? But he knows full well that I ain't going to do it. That's what you need to do. Some of the common questions that we get regarding sugar. This is a real popular one. I have a sweet tooth. What can I have to satisfy my sweet tooth? Well, with respect, it's your sweet tooth that got you here today, so probably really nothing. And really try to give it up. Really, really try to give it up. Be the best thing you've ever done. Can I have artificial sweeteners? Yeah, you can have artificial sweeteners. There are certain artificial sweeteners that you can have which aren't going to have an effect on your weight loss. And they are fairly keto friendly, if I can say that, or Localofa friendly. But be aware you're giving the sweet monster a taste of what he used to have, and he will not go, and he will keep badgering you all the time. Like I've said, if you can completely wipe it out, you're doing yourself a massive favor. But a little bit won't hurt every now and then, maybe a little bit of sugar or maybe a sweetener in my hot drinks. It's a little bit like saying to an alcoholic, well, have a low alcoholic drink because a little bit of alcohol won't hurt. Yes, it will. It will hurt, and it'll hurt you not in the same way, because I don't wish to say that alcohol and sugar are the same, because they're not in the same way of coming up. But what I mean is in the same way that your body will still crave if you keep on giving it. To really try to give it up. I just want to quickly talk to you about something as well here, because we live in a world where we constantly eat, non-stop eat. So we get up in the morning and we have our breakfast. And this is true as this is, so I'm not saying we all do this, but this is certainly what I used to do. And in reflection now I knew, God, no surprise, I was a big lad. Used to get up in the morning and have my breakfast, and then I get to about 11 o'clock. I think, I'll just have a cup of tea now and I'll just have a little snack, a chocolate bar or a pastry or something like that. So I'd have that at about 11 o'clock. And then, of course, it gets to lunchtime. So I'd nip off to Greg's and get myself a baguette and, of course, a bag of crisps and a can of pop as well. And then I get to the afternoon, I think, I'll just have another cup of tea and I'll just have a quick Twix out the chocolate bar, keep me going, because the previous 3 amounts of food that I've already eaten isn't enough. But I'll have an afternoon nibble to tide me over, and then I'll have my dinner at 7 o'clock, and I'm going to have quite a big dinner because I'm hungry, because the 4 other times I've eaten during the day already haven't filled me up enough. So I have a big dinner, and then I'll sit down in front of the television. There's a great drama on I'm looking forward to, and I've got myself a coffee, and you know what? I'll have a chocolate bar with that coffee as well. I was eating for 13 hours. For 13 hours of the day, I was stuffing food down my face. Those of you who've watched the Jason Fung and Eric Berg video interview that I put on the group this week, they're talking about that, is the fact that if you go back like to the 1970s, people never used to binge and eat like this all the time. Every single one of these food times here, I'm loading my body with insulin because it's detecting glucose. So insulin's coming, so it's storing fat in my body every single time. 13-hour food window. And then when you go outside, everywhere, I don't know where you guys live, but I bet you've got loads and loads of fast food places within a mile of where you live. There's loads of them. Food is that accessible to us. And the temptation is there all the time for us to fill up all these food times with all of these temptations. Even when we're going out, everywhere is telling us to eat. So we eat all the time. And for years, we've been programmed to eat by our watches, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all decided by the time. Those of you now, you've probably heard of this statement of breakfast being the most important meal of the day. This is something I looked up as well. And I thought, well, where did this come from? Because breakfast, eat like a king, lunchtime like a queen, and tea time like a pauper, or something like that was the other saying. But this was a good one. Breakfast, the most important meal of the day. And I found out who came up with this saying was a gentleman by the name of John Harvey Kellogg. Now, his surname may give it away as to why he came up with this saying. He may have had a vested interest for you to actually think breakfast was vitally important. Maybe some of his products might have been ideal for you. So it's just a marketing ploy. But how often, in all of the times that you eat, on the previous slide with all those different times, when I get up in the morning and I have my breakfast, how many times did I stop and think, am I hungry? No, I'm eating because it's breakfast and I always eat. 11 o'clock, do I really need that chocolate bar with a cup of tea? No, because you only had breakfast 2 hours ago. You cannot be hungry when you've just had breakfast. So question yourself before you eat, am I really hungry? And if you are, then have something to eat. If you're not, then leave it. You're not going to die. You've got loads of fat on your body. You will survive. Believe me, you'll keep going. The record for people who haven't eaten is 382 days. There's a guy in Scotland back in 1970 when he was massively overweight. He was under the guidance of the hospital, medically advised as well. So don't believe I'm not saying do this, but he didn't die. It's not going to hurt you if you skip a few meals. And you will have heard of OMAD, or one meal a day, which many of us do, and I do. Because what you need to do is listen to your body. So we've told you now what sort of food you can eat and what to not eat. But now we're also telling you to listen to your body, and your body will tell you, A, when it's hungry, and B, when it's had enough, only if you give it the chance to tell you. I never gave my body the chance to tell me it was hungry because I just kept ramming food down me all the time. Now I do listen. Now I listen. And so I only eat one meal a day now. And I didn't do that on purpose. I did it by following this process. I get up in the morning, I think, right, are you hungry? No, I'm not. I'll wait till lunchtime. See if I can wait till lunchtime. And I did that for a few days, a week maybe. And then I was finding that my lunchtime was getting to about 2, half 2, 3 o'clock, and I'd still not eaten because I wasn't hungry. And I got to the stage where I thought, I might as well wait till tea time now. And you know what? In the 24 weeks I've been doing this now, probably 20 weeks of those, I've been on one meal a day. Never, ever crosses my mind to eat anything during the day. Not even a thought, because I'm not hungry, listening to my body. Then when I do have my one meal a day, I don't overeat. I still listen. I eat slower and I listen to my body. If you're ramming food down really quickly, you're not going to give your body a chance to say to you, you've had enough now, stop eating. So when I do my one meal a day, I generally don't eat it all either because I'm full. What you will find as you stick rigidly to this diet of eating more proteins and eating natural fats and counting your carbohydrates is the fact that you will feel fuller for longer. And that's how you can manage it. Now, for someone who hasn't started this, and I say, I only eat one meal a day, they look at me as if I'm from another planet. Oh, I could never do that. And no, you couldn't. And when I was eating 3 meals a day and snacks in the morning and snacks in the afternoon and snacks in the evening, I would have thought I can't do it. But here I am today in the last 20 odd weeks doing one meal a day. You can do it quite easily. We also talk about fasting as well. There are, again, loads of information about fasting, and people think, I had a fast, and this is something which worked for me. I researched it. It was something I wanted to do, and I'm not saying that you should try it, but I did a fast about 3-4 weeks ago. I did 5 days, which sounds a lot, 5 days without eating. I was only hungry on the 5th day. Seriously, was not hungry at all in the slightest. So I thought, I'm not going to eat until I'm hungry. Boy, when the 5th day came, did I know I was hungry, because it was a completely different hunger from my head telling me I was hungry to my stomach telling me I'm hungry. But there are many benefits to fasting. Many religions encourage fasting through various parts. Quite a few religions since I've looked into it. So bear it in mind as something you might want to look at, or at least read up or look on YouTube and see if it's something that you might want to do. However, I don't want to scare you on that, because fasting and one meal a day isn't for everybody. It's not essential. What is essential is keeping your carbohydrates low, keeping your carbohydrates low, keeping your dietary fats very, very low. They are essential. This isn't. So don't be scared by it, by thinking, oh, I can only have one meal a day. Absolute rubbish. There are people in this group that will still have 3 meals a day, will keep their carbohydrates below 20 grams. Those are the golden rocks, if you remember the big rocks that we talked about. Anyway, if you want to ask us any questions on this, I'm more than happy, to answer your questions. Some tips on losing weight. Firstly, on Mondays in the UK at 4 p.m. GMT, we have a Zoom session. The details are all on the Localofa website, and it's very similar to what we do after this call, just a question session where we're all on there, and it's very light-hearted, and everyone gets a chance to come on and say, I've lost this much this week and I'm doing this, and can I eat this and can I do that, and I've got this coming up. It's just a real open session for everyone to come in and just join us and just let us know how you're getting on with any questions. So it is a little bit more coaching as well as we've got here. Coaching sessions such as this one, we're going to do a few more on different subjects as well. We might well do one on fasting and one meal a day as well. So if you are interested, it's something that we could do there. And we get guests coming to the group as well who have lost a lot of weight. We have doctors coming as well that want to talk to us about low carbohydrate, low carbohydrate diets as well. So we do get guests. So look out on the Localofa Facebook site, because there are adverts for things which are coming up as well, and come and join us. And also the Facebook group, use it. We're all on there. Myself, Steve, Treffley and Harvey are on. There's probably one of us on there at any one time, most of the daylight hours and into some of the evenings. You'll get an answer to a question, because there's many members that will help you as well. So any questions, doesn't matter how stupid you think they are, because they aren't, because I would have asked a stupid question when I first started as well. Post on there asking questions, you'll get 1,000,001 responses, because there's a hell of a lot of experience. And just on the Localofa website, is that on the first page, on the opening page, you'll see here as well that Trefflin, anything that we've got, any meetings, he will pin it. So it's the first thing that you see. So if there's anything coming up, it will be pinned at the top, so you'll see it straight away. But if you want to have a look for any other ideas or any other foods that people are eating on the diet, if you click on more, which is just here, it'll come up with a list of topics. Now, you'll probably see that if you put any pictures of your food, you'll see that one of us will put a hashtag underneath it. And what that then does is keeps your picture on the search, but it also puts it into these folders. Then if you clicked on this one, there's loads and loads of pictures of food and all the other information that we've got on there. So there's a whole ream of information on the Facebook group, apart from just on the main page. So go on there and take a look. On YouTube, there's a YouTube channel called the Warrington Low Carb Group. This is where Trefflin posts all of his videos. There's a number of interviews with people that have lost weight. I was looking at mine the other day, Trefflin actually, which we did at the end of January, and I thought, my God, look at your fat face. That was not yours, Trefflin, sorry, I should say. I should say not your fat face, Trefflin. I was looking at my video and I thought, Christ, look how big you were there. And so it just shows, but it kind of says, this is what we've done. This is how we've done it. These are the things, some real good things. And there's some other stuff on there as well. Trefflin talks about demystifying the ketogenic diet. I've only touched on it today, but there's some more depth into there as well. Some other things about things that people have cooked. Loads of inspiration on there as well. So really have a look on that site. And stick it in your favorites and jump on every now and then and have a look and see if there's anything there that's of use to you. And finally, just on to the last slide, then I wanted to keep it as brief as possible. I've just gone over a little bit today, but so Trefflin lost 9 stone in 12 months. I'm kind of heading in the same direction, thankfully. And that's why we're here, and that's why I will always be here doing this. And it's not for me going to be the case that I'm going to lose this weight and then I go back to doing what I did before, because I won't be doing that, because surprise, surprise, I will then be the person I was before. But I will always be adopting this way of eating now. There will be no change. So to summarize, eat as few carbs as possible, 20 grams at the very most, a lot less if you can. The least, the better. It really is. No excess fats. Just the natural fats in your food is enough. Fats in meat is fine. Fats you're cooking is fine. But let's cut out that avocado, the cheese, the cream, all those sorts of stuff that keto previously may have told you. Cut out sugar, lose that sweet stuff, and sweeteners if you can. I used to have a cafe latte with 1 or 2 sugars. I now drink black coffee. You can't go from one extreme to the other as much as that. And it'll take your taste buds about 2 to 3 weeks to adapt, but they do. You retrain your taste buds. Now, I drink black coffee. I only have 2 cups a day, but it's worth it because it just helps with black coffee and in cutting out sugar. Cheating or cheat days, I'll quickly cover this. The great thing about this is you can have as many cheat days as you want, but bear in mind, you're only cheating yourself. So it's entirely up to you. If you want to have a day and you think, I'm going to eat loads of chocolate today and have a cheat day, or Saturday, I'm going to have a pizza, fantastic, enjoy it. Bear in mind, you won't lose weight after that. You may well put weight on. You will store your weight loss for about 3 to 4 days. What will happen, very, very basically, is your body will switch from ketones straight over to glucose, because remember, that's its primary source of energy. It will go to glucose. So then what you'll have to do then, so if you say tomorrow night, think, oh, I'm going to have a pizza, it'll be fine. Right, your body will switch from ketones, losing weight, straight to glucose immediately, because it's detected the carbohydrates, and your insulin will kick in and then it'll store. And then what you'll have to do is wait for that to all go through, and then wait for your body to get rid of all that stored glucose that you've just taken in before it then switches back to ketones. So for me, that chocolate bar or that slice of pizza isn't worth it, because it will store my weight loss. You will see that we will go onto people's pictures and say, great, but why did you put that on your meal? Because that will store your weight loss. It's as simple as that. If that's not motivation enough not to have a cheat, I don't know what is, but you will store your weight loss. So be aware of that. But by all means, have as many cheat days as you want. You're only cheating yourself. Keep motivated and have the willpower. You have got willpower. Depends whether you want to listen to it or not, but you have got it, because we've all got it. And I'm just going to leave you with the saying that I've always said, and I absolutely believe it, is that nothing tastes as good as weight loss feels. Now, I did cheat on Sunday, because after 24 weeks, I decided to have a small chocolate bar, as it was Easter Sunday, as a treat. And yes, I enjoyed it while I was eating it. It's only a small Twix, and I did enjoy it when I was eating. But it wasn't as good as the feeling I had this morning when I got on the scales and realised that I'd lost a couple of pounds. So I won't be having that Twix again. It's as simple as that. Nothing tastes as good as weight loss feels. Believe me, when you're going to the shops, as I will be on Monday when the clothes shops are open, because I've got no clothes in my wardrobe now because I've lost a load of weight and all the shops are bloody shut. So I'm looking forward to going clothes shopping, because, for the first time in 20, 30 years, I can walk into Next, see a shirt that I like on the rail, pick it up and go and pay for it, because it'll fit me. Hasn't done for 20 years, but I'll be able to do that from Monday. And that's far better than having a cheat day. Hopefully I've gone through everything there. So we'll just open up now to see, have you got any questions, anything that you want me to go over, or anything any of us here want to talk about? Stick your hand up and we'll come to you.
Hi, Stradlin. Thanks for sitting through the presentation. That was a great presentation by Lee, and I hope you all got a lot out of it. Listen, if you're struggling, trying to lose weight, or maybe you've got health issues, type 2 diabetes, why not join us on the Localofa group on Facebook? And also here, we've got Warrington Low Carbohydrate group on YouTube, but where I've got lots and lots of different videos. And every week, we have 2 Zoom support group meetings a week. We have one on a Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Oh, there we go. And on a Monday afternoon at 4 p.m., which is a better time for me. Anyway, having said that, thanks for joining us. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, ding the bell below. Look us up on our website at www.localofa.com. Stay in touch. Bye now.